So, hello. For today, I'll teach you how to create your own base. So, most of you are having a hard time making their own base on a 3D sculpting app. For example, SculptGL. Uh, so, it's hard to make primitives when you're a beginner. So, this lesson is for beginners just like you and me. So, I consider myself still a beginner, okay? I'm still a beginner and still learning. But anyways, this technique, I created this technique to show you guys that you can easily build your base for 3D sculpting and by using TinkerCAD. So here's mine already. So you need to have an account in TinkerCAD, don't forget. So I provided a SVG so you could sculpt along or do this exercise with me. Okay, so for example, when you downloaded the SVG already, you just need to import it. So import, okay, choose a file, then look for that SVG. Where did you download it? So mine is in here. So all right. So SVG. So I made a four-part SVG, okay? So just import it individually. So first you want to, for example, you want to import the arms, okay? So there. So make it just 50% for the scale because it's too big. Okay, import and there you have an arm. So basically you just need to place them, you need to align them together just for referencing it when making a 3D sculpted base. Okay? So for the extrusion or the thickness of the SVG, it's all up to you, but I prefer just just a thin just a thin element. Then we can put a like we can put a mass on it, like we can add mass or add clay on it later. Okay, so just upload them, import them all and place them together. Okay, so I'll delete this. Once you got your SVG imported already, you need to export it. So I prefer to export it individually. So this is always my tip. You need to create your primitives individually or create your shapes individually. So it's much easier to sculpt on, okay? But for now, we're going to just export three parts. So the arms, the body and legs, and the head, okay? So, all right. So I'm going to export the arms first, then export, then choose OBJ or STL. OBJ is fine. Okay. Oh, I'll rather export it as STL. STL because I don't want the zip file. So, all right, STL. Then next, export. Click on the head, then export STL. But rename it first so you won't get lost. So for example, this one is arms. Okay, arms. So next, export the head. STL, export head. Next, the legs and the body. Export STL. So there you go. So we have a exported 3D file from TinkerCAD. Okay, so if you don't know how to use TinkerCAD, just go to the other video. My other video, I have other videos explaining TinkerCAD. Okay, so legs and body. So there you go. So now, let's start creating our own base. Let's go to SculptGL. Click. Okay, SculptGL. So what you need to do, you need to clear the scene first. Clear. Okay. Again, when you have sphere, you need to go to scene, then clear scene. Okay. Cleared. So now, let's go to add to files, import, export. Then let's add that file that we exported in TinkerCAD. Download. So arms, J, head, OBJ. So as you can see, that's why I made you place the parts already in TinkerCAD. So when you import, it's already placed there. Okay? Well, properly aligned and placed. So what you need to do, well, as you can see, the polygons are not really good. So it's like full of triangles or large triangles like low poly triangles. Okay, so select any object, then go to topology. Then again, don't make your resolution higher above 150 first, because when building up a 3D object, a higher resolution might really slow your work work what do you call this, work your work process. So I prefer to remesh it like lower resolution only. 150 is fine. Okay. So there. If you're working with higher resolution, it means you're working with a lot of details already, like putting a lot of details. But remember, be careful of your resolution because of your faces. Okay? The higher resolution, well, as you can see, the higher the file and the slower the 3D will get. Okay? So there you go. We remeshed it. So now we can do is use brush, right? Then add here, add here. But there's a problem when building a mass using brush. When you have a thin primitive, when you go back, it's just pushing the clay the other way. So we don't want that. So what you need to do when you're building up your mass, 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 okay? So when you're building up your mass, you need to use inflate. Okay, use inflate. Then just building up, building up, building up. Okay. If you want to make your brush size bigger, okay. So when this happens, when this part like uh what do you call this, pixelating or not really good triangles, so you need to just remesh it. It's time to remesh. So there you go. Then smooth, and add mass to the legs. Okay, the abs. So don't worry about building the mass. Okay. And this model is not really anatomically correct, but this is just to show you how you can build your own base using basic primitives and TinkerCAD. So this is for beginners, just like me. So, okay. Next, here, up there, make the brush smaller. Okay. You can remove the grid first so you can see. Okay. So there you go. You can see now that you're building your own base by using basic 3D tools like TinkerCAD and SculptGL. So, okay. So I prefer you study your anatomy for this, but for this one, sorry, but it's just for example, so it's not really anatomically correct, but still I'm just showing that you can build your own base by using basic 3D applications. Okay, here. So again, remesh, then smooth. Okay, I think it's okay for now, or chunk here. So you can lower the intensity of your inflate. Lower the intensity. So if it's too intense or too much inflation going on, so enough, then put a little bit of knees here. Remesh. Smooth them. Okay. So I need to put something on the feet. Okay, put some mask there. Put some mask. Okay. So this technique is not a foolproof technique when creating. There's a lot of easier way to do it, but this is for the beginners who cannot really get their base meshes down. Okay. So again, this is only my method technique I've learned, or I created when I was starting out doing three-dimensional sculpting, digital sculpting. Okay, here and so remesh, smoothen. There you go. So basically, oops, add here. So now quickly, you can build your own your own base, especially human base, by simple tools like SculptGL and TinkerCAD. So let's finish this up. So again, this is a quick rendition. So this is not a perfect example of making a base mesh, but still, I think it's pretty okay for beginners. Here, and remesh. Okay. So, well, you can add a sphere for much easier, but I'm just showing the inflate tool. So this is not anatomically correct. This is an anime, so bear with me. Okay, remesh, smoothen, add here, remesh, smoothen. So that's it. So you can do a lot of base using from two-dimensional flat image to three-dimensional sculpt. Okay. So now we move this, transform, move it there. So it's okay. Then you can use flatten to really define your sculpt. Okay, so if it's too intense, just so again, this is not a perfect representation of an anatomy. Okay, this video will not teach you anatomy, but still, this is more on like cartoonish anatomy. So there you go. You have your own base. So I just need to like properly smoothen here. There you go. So I need and so there you go. So just play around with your anatomy and look if there's something wrong with it. Here, here. I'm using the move tool, by the way, so there you go. I think so there. I think it's enough for this tutorial, making your own base. Want to add here. Okay, so that's it. So your own base using TinkerCAD and SCULPTGL. Okay, so thank you, and next lesson for the next video. Okay, so there you go. Next video. Thanks.